Hey, this is Saralynn at Easy Divers, and welcome to our Tune In Tuesday. Tonight we're talking about delayed surface marker buoys. And they come all different sizes, different shapes, different features. When you take this as your advanced open water choice or as a specialty, we can get into all the details, but what I want to talk about tonight is a little bit different. It does have to do with the delayed surface marker buoys, but it is a kind of different take. I had an interesting talk today with one of our divers, and we talked about the times that we are on guided dives at different places around the world, and our dive masters, although they're doing a good job as best they can, sometimes put us into situations that are not comfortable. For instance, both the diver I was speaking with today and myself have been in situations where the dive master chooses to stay down longer than we're comfortable, either because we're getting too far away from our entry-exit area or we're getting lower on air than our comfort level. Now, I understand that the dive masters on these boats and in these dive resort areas are told they're supposed to escort us up and down, and they're supposed to keep the group together, blah, blah, blah. I'm here to empower you to honor your own training and your own understanding first. So what I mean by that is we respectfully listen to the briefings. And to the best of our ability, we are going to follow those briefings. However, when those briefings start to put us in an uncomfortable situation, I'm empowering you as a certified diver who is in charge of your own decision making to do what you need to do. Both the diver and I were talking today that his situation was a little different. He kept signaling to the dive master that he was getting low on air and he wanted to turn around and go back, and the dive master kept saying, wait, wait, wait. And by the time they finally got the dive master to turn around to take him back to the exit area, this man and his son were down to 200 psi, and the dive master already had somebody who'd run out of air on his alternate air source. And it's quite a dilemma because we want to follow our diving professional, but guess what? They're human, and sometimes they make decisions that aren't necessarily comfortable for us and for what the responsibility we're taking for ourselves and our buddy. So I'm giving you permission to make decisions that make sense for you. If the dive master refuses to turn around, this is a beautiful time to be able to use a delayed surface marker buoy. Most of you, if you've been diving in the last few years, have had experience inflating these buoys once you're at the top. Should you want to be obvious to boaters, or should you have come up a little further away from the boat or the exit area than you planned, this can let people know where you are. When I have found it to be most convenient and most effective is when I'm in a situation where I need to come up and I'm not going to be with the group. So I had a situation last year. It was all instructors that I was diving with. The dive master made a very specific plan. It was in a part of the world I have not had experience in before, and the currents were absolutely ripping. So we're all in and we're lined up on this wall, and the dive master decided there weren't enough sharks zooming by, which was the purpose of this particular dive. So he decided to change the dive plan. So he told the person closest to him, and it went down the line, and guess what? The little stepchild at the end of the line didn't get the message. So all of a sudden I look up, the current is screaming, I'm in a part of the world I've never been in before, and there is not a soul to be seen. And my first thought was, I'm nervous, I'm scared, I'm thinking, what in the world I'm going to do? And then my next thought was, well, I'll look for them for a minute. Looking at the bottom configuration, it was pretty obvious potentially what direction they had moved in. I thought, I'll swim for a minute, and if I do not see somebody, this is why I am so excited. It's funny because all of the instructors on the boat, the dive shop owners, everybody brought a surface marker buoy, and out of 16 people, only one of us, me, brought a reel. Well, so here's what my thinking was. Now, as it turned out, my new best friend, the secondary dive master, realized I wasn't with the group, and he turned around and came back and found me, and we had an absolutely spectacular dive, just the two of us, and we reunited with the group at the very end. But my alternate plan after the initial nervousness of being confronted with being all by myself on an 80-foot dive with strong current was, okay, what should I do? How am I going to make myself feel better about where I am? And I thought, easy. I'm going to go ahead, use my reel, deploy my surface marker buoy, because I did know that the boat captain would be up there looking for this. And I thought, if I have to go up on my own, people will see where I am, they'll know that I'm coming. So for me, that is worth its weight in gold. So since that situation happened, this is the one that I usually carry on a regular basis because it's small enough it can go in my BC pocket and not really take up too much space. This is the big honking one that I'm going to take when we're doing some open ocean stuff with those strong currents. So at like the Maldives, Cozumel, any place where there's strong currents and there's the possibility for us to get blown off or thrown off course. So a couple neat things you can do with these, in addition to just marking your spot, especially so that you can enjoy your safety stop and just chill out and relax. You can mark the line on your reel at 15 to 20 feet, like make a little loop or make a little knot of some sort. And what you can do then is you can do a floating safety stop. You deploy your surface marker buoy. Obviously, it would be inflated. You deploy your surface marker buoy. You would let out 15 to 20 feet of this line. You would then use your clip to clip it off so no more let off. And literally, you can just hang on the bottom of this at 15 to 20 feet for your 3 or 4 minute surface safety stop at the end of the dive. And literally, you're hanging out. And it's kind of fun and easy. And you don't have to constantly be looking at your computer and your depth gauge to make sure that you're not accidentally floating up or floating down. So I would love to, it seems like it should be very easy to use these. And what we have found when we did the last advanced open water class, a lot of people chose this as one of their specialties. Dealing with the float itself, knowing how much air to put in or not put in, dealing with the line so that you don't end up like a Spider-Man with it all tangled up everywhere around you, does kind of take some fun and practice. So this is a cool skill. We're headed into the winter where we'll be doing our Fitness Fanatic sessions. This is one of the things that I'd really recommend you play and practice with, because unless you had done it 20 or 25 times, it's still kind of tricky. For instance, that my new fancy Cadillac of a surface marker buoy here has a valve that allows me to disconnect the low pressure inflator hose from my BC and use that to inflate this super duper long surface marker buoy. And look what we have here. There's actually a dump over pressure valve. So if I inflate it and I'm at that on that 80 or 90 foot dive where I wanted to kind of send it up and let them know I was coming up, it will automatically purge itself when that air that I've added at 80 or 90 feet is going to expand that 3 or 4 times. It will go ahead and purge itself. So it's cool to have, and of course we have things like diver below, real obvious, which is sort of neat. A lot of there's at least 3 or 4 different ways to inflate the surface marker buoys. So before you actually make your final decision and purchase one, I would encourage you to get it out of the package to look at it. The one that I told you I carry most often, you actually have to take your regulator out. You have to depress this valve to open it up, and then you breathe into it, and then you let go in between breaths. Takes a little effort. The one that comes with the PADI Advanced Open Water Packs is probably the most simple. I don't know if it would be quite as effective as on a delayed situation as it is at the surface. We did work on it when we were at Blakely Mountain Dam. We did some dives with it from about 25 feet and didn't have too much trouble. But what makes this one kind of easy in some ways is literally it's just open at the bottom. So you furl it out when you're ready to use it, and then literally you take your alternate air source and push the purge button until it starts to inflate, and then it takes practice and guesswork to figure out how much to inflate it so it will go to the surface, not drag you with it, and have enough air in it where it actually shows up and stands up so that people can see you from a distance. So what I want you to leave with today is something, again, we haven't talked about a lot, but I do want you to trust your own abilities. And if you find that you're diving, if you've got dive masters or guides, especially as we hopefully start traveling the world again, If they're putting you in an uncomfortable situation, you and you alone are responsible for the decisions you make and the safety, where your safety and comfort levels are. So do what you need to do. Be as respectful as you can with the local folks. Usually, like I did have a chit chat with my favorite little dive master who changed the plan and nobody told me. But feel free to gently and diplomatically talk to the guide afterward and say, look, I don't stay on the bottom until I'm down to 200 psi. So understand that when we make a dive plan, I will be on the surface at 500 every single time. Give them kind of a heads up and in a gentle way as best you can, but understand that your safety really is yours alone to ensure. So obviously one of the reasons people like to keep diving with us after all these years is we're there to kind of help you make those decisions and look out for the tough situations that sometimes we get into so that we can have the best possible outcome, safety first and foremost, and fun and stories as a secondary bonus. So I'm real excited. I see Leanne and Michael. Carolyn Wickover, my goodness, girlfriend, I have a picture of you from 1995 I just uncovered. So I love that you guys took a moment to spend with us tonight and look forward to touching base with most of you soon. Have a great evening. Saralynn signing off. Easy Divers Memphis.